Hey guys, Interjection here, and in a moment you're going to hear one of the most ridiculous video intros that I have ever come up with, ever. I honestly have no idea what I was thinking when I made this, but enjoy the video. Oh yes guys, today we have another one of the most highly anticipated games from the PK Clan Tournament 4 group stages. This is the last game I'm going to be casting from the group stages because of course the tournament has now moved on to round B, where players will be eliminated from the tournament if they lose their best of 3, which they are required to play. There are still plenty of games in the group stages that I haven't casted or even touched upon, so I will eventually get round to those perhaps after the tournament has finished. The thing about this tournament is it is just producing so many great games, and there's just no way I'm going to be able to keep up with it, especially early on. I mean, in the finals, then, I'm going to make a point to cast all of those games, because those will be very interesting indeed. But today we have Flooky, considered one of the best players from back in his day, certainly an old pro coming back to the game to compete in this tournament. We have, on the other side of the map, Shmras from the Japanese community. He is possibly one of the best players there, and actually came first in the previous tournament, of course, PK Clan Tournament 3, and received a 70% split of $400 as his prize winnings, though this particular tournament is actually worth a lot more, of course, $1,800, though he will receive a 60% split. Not saying that he's going to win, the winner will receive a 60% split, because I believe more money is going to, of course, second, third, and in this tournament, 4th and 5th up to 8th, I believe, place, which is not usual for PK Clan tournaments. We're offering more money to more players who go far. We're going to reward more people, which seems rather nice in my opinion. I'll turn Fog of War off, and as we can see, the Ottoman player about to receive his first shipment, 3 settlers, since he popped a trading post down in the center of the map there, and managed to get the XP just before the Traveler's man passed the building. So he got that constructed just as he walked past, got the XP for their, of course, settlers, and has them now going to help his economy out. I just want to take a moment to kind of appreciate the Traveler's man, when no one really gives him the credit he deserves, delivering XP on a daily basis, no absenteeism. What a guy. Let's just take a minute just to appreciate that man. But we'll switch over to Flooky, of course, playing as France, popped down an early market here, got his hunting dogs upgrade, put down a house, and is now sending 3 settlers as his first home city shipment, going to get his economy rolling. Very, very standard things from both players with their civilizations. But what I find interesting is, of course, this matchup. We have Ottoman versus France, and that can be quite a tough one, especially for most civilizations. Ottoman, of course, one of the more powerful civilizations, and certainly considered stronger or perhaps even overpowered by many. And that's because they have some very powerful options open to them. They can do either a very strong colonial, of course they have Abbas guns available to them, and Janissary Abbas, of course, is a nice combination of units that they can make in the colonial age. We see here he's clicking up with the quartermaster, that's 400 wood, and with that wood, that signals to me he's going to have a colonial agenda, as I just mentioned. We'll see perhaps a barracks going down with 200 of the wood, and then 2 houses, and his first home city shipment could be 700 wood in the colonial age, with which he would then perhaps get the second trading post, the stagecoach upgrade for a nice economy, add in an artillery foundry, and then his next shipment could be 700 coin, and with that coin he could fund Abbas gun production, and then push in with some, a nice amount of Abbas guns and Janissaries, and of course still has more shipments that he like military, or even 600 coin to add even more Abbas guns in, and that's a nice thing he could do. But the Ottoman player could also fast fortress. That's not uncommon, though he is sending 400 wood, so I find that less likely. Of course, with the fast fortress, players often send a tower and 200 coin, and then of course you would get 700 coin, and with that coin rush up to the next stage very quickly, where you would then have access to these more powerful military shipments, where there are plenty of them, and that adds a nice spam to your army. Of course, 2 cannons and 5 Mamelukes, these powerful fortress age units, and that is why Ottoman is quite a difficult opponent, because they have both of those powerful options open to them, and they're both relatively easy to do, relatively good strategies, and knowing what the Ottoman player is going to do, and since they have both those options open to them, is kind of half the battle. Here, if we switch over to Flooky, he's going to have to kind of know, and kind of going to have to scout the Ottoman player to see what what of course is going on. Though Flooky clicking up with 400 wood, the quartermaster politician, as we can see here at the market, grabbing himself placer mines. I imagine when he hits age 2, he will get steel traps as well. Of course, get these hunting and coin mine upgrades from his market early on to help his economy out. And we'll see what his first home city shipment is as well, and just to kind of give us an indication of what he is deciding to do. But here, you know, walking through with his explorer nearby, I imagine he'll probably walk through and, of course, try and see. We'll just have to scout over here nearby as well. He has not scouted anything that would kind of be a giveaway. Just 700 coin on the floor here. Okay, so we'll switch over to Shmras. And okay, so Shmras hasn't actually put up any military buildings at all, which kind of contradicts what I was saying about the colonial agenda, and actually he is going to go up with a fast fortress by the looks of it. You know, has collected nothing but food during transition. With that wood he aged up with, it looks like he's built the second trading post, of course costs 200 wood, and grabbed himself the stagecoach upgrade. That's 400 wood in total, you know. Though has used some food, of course the stagecoach is quite a food heavy upgrade, but looks like he's still going to be able to click up at a very reasonable time indeed, despite, of course, getting that stagecoach gives you a very nice bonus to your economy. And I think this is quite a balls deep strategy. Of course, without the tower, it can be sometimes a little bit difficult if your opponent decides to push you, though France is not always the most aggressive civ against an Ottoman player, because, of course, why would you be aggressive against someone who can be even more aggressive? And being defensive is, of course, a better way to kind of deal with it. But here, perhaps, you know, Shmras feels comfortable enough to go up with 400 wood and get the stagecoach, and of course it's going to give him a very powerful fortress, because these provide a lot of resources which he can add to those, of course, powerful military units that he'll be training, veteran janissaries. Here going up with the scout, who will grant him 4 cavalry, and I will switch over to Flooky and see what he is up to. And his first shipment, by the looks of it, was 4 Carreras, so you know, Flooky scouted the fast fortress, and in response it looks like he's going for a semi. As we can see here, he's training some units at the barracks. What I mean by semi is that you will ship 4 settlers for a nice economy, and then follow up with 700 coin, and then go up to the fortress age. You'll be a little bit later than them, though you can use the age up fast option to get you there more quickly. But, you know, France don't have, they can't do a naked fast fortress in the same way that Spain or Ottoman can, since they don't really have as much XP. They have to rely more on their economy when they fast fortress, and of course train units, though the unit spam from the shipments is still quite important. But here, you know, choosing to train some units, get those for, of course, 4 settlers for the economy. And with these units, he has kind of 2 options, as you can see here. He could go over to Shmras' base, perhaps try and kill a settler. We'll see if he manages to get one. Doesn't look like Shmras noticing bring these ones back, but it looks like he's going to lose a settler, and that's, of course, quite nice for Flooky, giving him an advantage here, reducing the Ottoman player's economic capabilities. But his other option was instead to, of course, train 10 musketeers. He has 1 in production here. Is he going to go for 15 musks? No, just the 10 plus 1, so I guess we could call that 11. But with these 10 musketeers, he could have obviously marched over to this trading post and sieged that down. Though he did actually choose to kill a settler here, because now that the Ottoman player is in the fortress age, he can't kind of hang around in this player's base, because of course we see the 4 hussars popped out, and of course he has trained 10 janissaries in transition. We see Flooky has all of the resources to click up, and I imagine he'll go up with the age up fast option, and that is because of course we see he has almost all of the XP he needs. This green bar is almost full for his next shipment, and by the time he gets to the next stage, he will have a shipment available to him, which he can then send. Here, though, 4 hussars would beat 4 musketeers, though in terms of cost efficiency, not so good, but choosing not to fight that, though it would have been... Oh, that is not nice. We're losing... That is very ugly. 4 Carrera's going to go down, and I think that is going to be... Ouch. That is going to affect him big time later on in the game. Of course, the semi is about the economy there, and losing essentially the 4 settler shipment, which is a very big deal indeed. Flooky... almost about to hit up. Of course, he's not going to receive any bonus here, and all he has is, of course, the 10 musketeers and his explorer. The town centre fire is going to help. Looks like he's popping minutemen, and if he does this right, he could be in a, could kind of sandwich him in between, of course, the minutemen and the units, and that's exactly what he's done there. That's quite a nice, quite nice play from him. course, the Ottoman player isn't going to want to fight that, since, of course, Minutemen do lose HP over time. They only really last for a minute, hence the word Minutemen, and then they'll be on 1 HP, where they'll just stay, and then you can come back in a little bit later on here, of course, trying to escape, and that is what's going on. We'll switch over to Shmras and see what he is up to. First shipment, of course, 8 Janissaries, followed up by 2 Falconets, which have just arrived. Yes, they have. And he has already got the Veteran Janissary upgrade. Now looks like he's going to push in. Of course, aged up with the 4 Hussars, trained 10 Janissaries, and pushed in. Did a very nice amount of damage. You know, perhaps killed 4 of the Carreras. If those weren't there and he wasn't able to kill the Carreras, perhaps he would have just killed the 1. You know, maybe just walk over here and ninja a shots off against 1 and perhaps kill 1. If not, then perhaps start to siege a building. Who knows, maybe a house. That market is on the front, so possibly that. But now that he's 8 Janissaries and 2 Falconets have arrived, it looks like he's going to push out again, you know, for the second push, and this is the hard push, because of course it's going to be sustained by constant military. His next shipment, we will see what he chooses to do, but it is most likely going to be 1,000 coin. Of course, that is a very standard fast fortress build for Ottoman players. 8 Janissaries, 2 Falconets, 1k coin, and with that coin you can buy Mamelukes, which of course are very powerful mercenaries, which cost 1,000 coin to send. We'll see if I am right in a moment, but if he does do that, it's going to be a little bit difficult for Flooky, because, of course, we look at what he has. Oh, he shipped 5 Dragoons by the looks of it. Yes, 5 Dragoons, and I find that, well, I don't find it unusual, because, of course, you need to kind of be aware of the fact that he's probably going to be expecting Mamelukes at some point, and those are very difficult to deal with. Of course, if he had just a skirmisher mass, because skirmishers, of course, are good against the Janissaries, and to counter the Falconets, I think his best bet is to send Falconets of his own. But Skirmisher and Falconets, you know, very, very weak to Mamelukes. Of course, both of those units countered by cavalry. And Mamelukes have so many hit points that they just absolutely tear, you know, that you're not going to bring them down. The Falconets will just go down, because Mamelukes will just absolutely blitz them. So, you know, Dragoons definitely, I can see. It's just, the thing is, though, he's not going to be able to deal with those Falconets. Those are going to be an issue, since, yes, Dragoons have a ×2 multiplier against Falconets, but Falconets, you know, resist 75% of range damage, and the only real way to deal with them is either getting into melee mode, with, i.e. something like cavalry, and that would be difficult, since, of course, there are so many Janissaries, and those counter, of course, cavalry. And his other option is to do it at range with Falconets, which, of course, you know, do bombard damage and can you know, Falconet versus Falconet. Okay, so Shmras coming back, not pushing now. He's obviously retreated clearly, and what I think he's doing is, of course, waiting for Mamelukes. We see he has shipped 1,000 coin. It's on the floor there, 1k coin, and his next shipment, of course, Mamelukes, as I keep saying, and he's waiting for those before he chooses to push back in, because if he pushed now, you know, he could push now, and I imagine he'd do a lot of damage right now, since Flooky has limited units and might find such a large Janissary mash hard to deal with, especially with the Falconets as well. But he could use his town centre to kind of target the Falconet at range, and, you know, his houses and the town centre itself will soak up a lot of the bombard damage from the Falconets, whilst he's kind of preparing or waiting for unit shipments to kind of deal with this army. But if Shmras waits for his Mamelukes, which are now on the way here, and then pushes with all of that at once, that is going to be super hard to deal with, because, okay, so let's say Flooky sends his, I don't know, 2 Falconet shipment, whilst all of, you know, these Janissaries and 2 Falconets are pushing him. He could perhaps ninja off some shots with his Falconets, kill the 2 Falconets, or maybe they neutralize each other's Falconets, depending on who, wet war and when, micro, etc., luck, whatever you want to call it. But if that were to happen, it certainly wouldn't if the old Mamelukes were there as well, because Shmras could rush his Mamelukes in, and they would just so easily be able to bring down 2 Falconets, because Mamelukes soak up so much damage. They just get into melee mode with the old cannons, bring them down, and Shmras would still have his 2 cannons. And I just think, okay, so that's one scenario, I guess, but let's stop speculating on things that aren't going to happen. What we see here is Flooky shipping 8 skirmishers. Skirmishers are going to obviously do good damage against Janissaries, as I said earlier. Okay, so here we see, of course, he has this scout in hidden mode, which can see, obviously, the Mamelukes, and, of course, Janissaries, Falconets, and he now knows that the push is imminent in coming in. Sending skirmishers again, such a large mass of course, Janissaries, as I say, skirmish is going to really be helpful and useful here. And since skirmishers are weak to cavalry, he has, of course, dragoons to protect them with, since dragoons are a very hard counter to cavalry. They do 26 range damage multiplied by 3. Though these dragoons are still not going to be enough to kind of deal with the falconets. Sorry, to deal with the mams. I mean, if he can kind of protect his dragoons, keep them out of range, keep them back, you know, kind of keep them away from the janissaries, and try and get them in kind of in range of the Mamelukes when he sees the opportunity to do so, then that will work. But here, since, as I say, he just doesn't have the units to kind of deal with the falconets there, and I think his best bet really is to kind of just avoid them. You see, setting them up into range mode, getting some shots off, and you can see the amount of damage which was done there at range. Lots of units much lower on hit points, and that's kind of significant, especially considering the size of this army here. I think Shmras choosing the perfect place to push in. Of course, if we take a look at Shmras' Fog of War, we can see he scouted these 2 buildings, and that's 200 wood, this is 200 wood. The amount of janissaries and, of course, cannons bringing these down. Flooky isn't just going to be able to replace 2 buildings like that. Of course, that's 400 wood just down the drain. That's his military production. Also, it's a good place to push because over here, this is where Flooky was gathering food, and now he doesn't have any hunts, and that's going to be an issue since food income is, of course, a very big part of training units. Though he doesn't actually have any military buildings to do so, as I say, picking the perfect position here. Five janissaries, of course, being trained from the barracks, walking in and getting slaughtered by the skirmishers. That's the first mistake I've seen from Shmras all game. Here, though, it looks like the fight is going to get going. As you can see, this town centre is being used to focus down this cannon here, and that's always, of course, quite nice, since it is a very easy way to kind of deal with the falconets, or at least slowly deal with it, I guess. But as you can see here, just walking back and shooting back and shooting, using the range advantage of the skirmishers and trying to stay out of range of course, the falconets. Those are going to do very big damage to the skirmishers, and the dragoons will find it difficult to kind of, well, even any unit find it difficult to deal with. See, the town set are now focusing down the cannon again. Here, though, of course, the janissary is very close to the dragoons, and it looks like they're now going to get into hand combat and, of course, do their 18 times 2 multiplier against them. Losing those dragoons, they're dropping very quickly, and I think that was a big mistake. Of course, you need to keep those dragoons back so that they can do damage against these Mamelukes. That is the purpose, to get rid of them. These 2 Mams, still that one on 1,440 hit points. That one's still full HP. And now that is the end of the game. Just not enough, especially since he doesn't have the food income. Everybody type GG into the comment section below, because I think that was a good game, even though Flooky appears to have just been steamrolled. But I think, the fact that he lost those 4 settlers early on, that is a big deal. If you take a look at his hunts, they're just not great at all. The fact that he's unable to collect food now is of course making it difficult for him. And we have to remember Flooky is quite rusty. He's not played properly in a long time, coming back for the tournament, and I don't know if he's playing other RTS games, but certainly hasn't been playing Age of Empires 3. But, I still think very entertaining game. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Do leave a like if you enjoyed the video, because that does help me out quite a lot more than you might think it does. And also, I think that I like likes. We all like likes. Anyway, I shall see you next time.